So another common use within JavaScript is going to be the loop. So I'm just going to get rid of this previous code. This way we're not actually getting it confused with the previous stuff. We're going to keep that HTML output there, and we're actually just going to output maybe a whole bunch of content. I'm going to set up a brand new variable, new output. And I'm just going to leave it blank. So what I'm going to do also, I'm going to do an output of it. So right now nothing's coming out there. Maybe we're going to do blank. And let's say we wanted to actually go through our array. So the first thing we want to determine is get the size of the array. And the way that we can do this is we can do this a length. So we're just going to do my array, and just to show you how that's going to work, do this function called length, and we see that we have 6 items within the array. When we do my array length, we get a value of 6 that gets returned. So if we want to list out every single item here in the array, we could do something like new output equals new output plus, and we could do maybe my array value 0, and now we're just going to do so blank first item. Maybe we got to put a line break in there, and I'm just going to call this array list. So here we can see how we can list out all the different items in the array, and actually we could just repeat this, copy and paste it a bunch of times, get the next one, and so on until we start getting all of the items in the array. Now obviously this probably isn't the best way to go. We see here that, well, it's not really ideal. We can work out something where maybe we're calling over to a function, and that function is incrementing, and we can pull out that increment, but still not ideal. What we want to do is we want to be able to just loop through everything and get JavaScript to do all this hard work, where we could just write this maybe one time, and from there we could build up and have all of these values and prepare it for that output. And that's exactly what we're going to do here in the next lesson, because we're going to be talking about the for and the looping. So most commonly, there's different types of looping. There's while looping, but most commonly you're going to be using for. So I'm just going to quickly set that up because it's most condensed way of doing loops. And all you have to do to set up a loop, you have to set an initial variable value. So I'm just going to use x. I'm going to set it as equaling 0. So that's going to be my starting point for the loop. And now I need a condition. So while x is less than my array dot length. So while the x is less than the my array length, which remember was 6, we're going to be able to continue with this loop, because that's how we're going to know we're getting to the end of the loop. And actually we have to do a little bit of a correction here, because the arrays, again, they're going to start out at a value of 0. So we're just going to put that in there for now. And then lastly, we have to increment it. So we're just going to do x plus plus, and then close that off. So you're just separating all of these out with these semicolons. And remember, x plus plus is the same thing as doing x plus 1. It's just a simplified way to kind of remove all of that out and you can just do x plus plus. Or if you wanted to do, you could do x plus 1 as well. So now we have that value that's outputting there, and now all I have to do, I can get rid of all of that, and I can actually use the value of x and run it within my string. And as you can see, as I'm changing it here, we're actually getting that output of that entire array. So we're actually not hitting number 6. So maybe I'm just going to remove this calculation here. And now we get number 6. So the reason when we were looking at this before, we're starting out at 0, and because I'm not sure if you caught this, but I'm just doing x while it's less than this length. So as soon as it hits 6, this loop is going to end. And that's why we had to change that back and remove out that part of the loop that was looking at the length. So if we actually did have up to 6, keeping in mind that this is the less than, so if we actually had a condition where we did equal to, then we would have to keep that that minus. And the reason I put that in there is because when you're working with arrays, always keep that in mind. If you're listing out items here, so if you want it to list out plus, here you would have to do x plus 1. And I'm just going to put another space in there. So this way it gives us kind of like this list item effect, where we're listing out all the different items from the array, and we're doing the 0, 1, 2, 3. And here we had to update our calculation because we were doing the plus 1. Similarly, if we did 1, then we'd have to bring back that, we would actually have to increment it by 1, but we could leave this at x. So a lot of different ways to get the same result, and just always think about what's going to be the most efficient way to get the output that you're looking for. And that's how you build a loop, and you loop it around as many times as there are items in the array.